Cremation of Sam McGee by Robert Service. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that'll make your blood run cold. And the northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake Labarge. I cremated Sam McGee. Now, Sam McGee was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows. And why he left his home in the South to roam round the pole, nobody knows. He was always cold, but the land of gold seemed to hold him like a spell. Though he'd often say in his homely way that he'd sooner live in hell. One Christmas day we were mushing our way over the Dawson Trail. Talk of your cold, through the parka's fold it stabbed like a driven nail. If our eyes we closed and the lashes froze, so sometimes we couldn't see. It wasn't much fun, but the only one to whimper was Sam McGee. And late that night, as we lay packed tight in our robes beneath the snow, the dogs were fed and the stars overhead were dancing heel and toe, he turns to me and, "Kayap," says he, "I'll cash in this trip, I guess. And if I do, I'm hoping that you won't refuse my last request." Well, he looked so low that I couldn't say no. And he said with a sort of a moan, "It's the cursed cold. It's got right hold till I'm chilled clean through to the bone. Yet it ain't being dead. It's my awful dread of an icy grave that pains. So I want you to swear that foul or fair, you cremate these last remains." Well, a pal's last need is a thing to heed, so I swore that I would not fail. We started on at the break of dawn, but, oh, he looked ghastly pale. He crouched on the sleigh, and he raved all day of his home in Tennessee. And by nightfall, a corpse was all that was left of Sam McGee. There wasn't a breath in that land of death. And I hurried on, horror-driven, with the corpse half hid that I couldn't get rid because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh, but it seemed to say, "You may tax your brawn and brain, but you promised true, and it's up to you to cremate these last remains." Now, a promise made is a debt unpaid, and the trail has its own stern code. In the days to come, though my lips were numb, in my heart how I cursed that load. Long, long night by the lone firelight, while the huskies round in a ring howled out their woes to the lonely snows. Oh, how I loathed that thing. And every day that quiet clay seemed to heavy and heavier grow. And on I went, though the dogs were spent and the grub was getting low. The trail was bad, and I felt half mad, but I swore I would not give in. And I'd often sing to the hateful thing, and it'd hearken with a grin. Till I came to the marge of Lake Labarge, and the derelict there lay. It was covered with ice, but I saw in a thrice it was called the Alice May. And I looked at it, and I thought a bit, and I looked at my frozen chum. And then here says I, with a sudden cry, is my crematorium. Some planks I tore from the cabin floor, and I lit the boiler fire. Some coal I found that was lying around, and I heaped the fuel higher. Well, the flames just soared, and the furnace roared, such a blaze you seldom see. And I burrowed a hole in the glowing coal, and I stuffed in Sam McGee. And I made a hike. I didn't like to hear him sizzle so. And the huskies howled, and the heavens scowled, and the wind began to blow. It was icy cold, but the hot sweat rolled down my cheek, and I don't know why. And the inky smoke in a greasy cloak went streaking down the sky. I do not know how long in the snow I wrestled with grisly fear. But the stars came out, and they danced about. Here again I ventured near. I was sick with dread, but I bravely said, "I'll just take a look inside. I guess he's cooked." It's time I looked, and in the door I opened wide, and there sat Sam, looking cold and calm in the heart of the furnace roar. And he wore a smile, you could see him smile, and he said, "Please shut that door. It's warm in here, but I greatly fear you let in the cold and the storm. Since I left Plumtree down in Tennessee, it's the first time I've been warm." There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that'll make your blood run cold. The Northern Lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake Labarge. I cremated